How are y'all doing this week? I am coming to you from somewhere else. I am not in my office. And so, as you can see, I'm not in my office. Wait a minute. As you can see, I still haven't shaved very much. I have shaved, but it grew back. But I do have a shirt on today. And so I am so glad to see you. I am far, far away, not too far away, maybe a couple of hours. But I'm really looking forward to this week. I love these weeks when I can be talking to you. We can be reading and discussing about children and children's development, cognitive development, socio-emotional development this week, or psychosocial, whatever your book calls it, same thing. Um, but I got some things to remind you, keep in mind, and that's not a bad thing. Remember, the best way to learn is to do the wrong thing and to make mistakes. So get set the rest of your life from making mistakes and making things right and figuring out what you did wrong. But anyway, you're not wrong. But I wanted to remind you a couple of things looking back over the discussions from last week. They were excellent. They really were. I really enjoyed that. That's the kind of topic, though, that you see a lot in psychology, especially child psychology. You know, that we have these questions that when I think of something like, where you put the baby to sleep so the baby doesn't die of SIDS. Back in the 60s and the 70s, it was put the kid on the on his face. In the 80s, it was put the child on his back, and then it was put the baby back on his face, and then it was put the baby back on his back, and then put the baby on the side. So what you have to realize there is what research tells us often changes. As we do more research, we usually find that things change. So that's why we keep in mind, especially in psychology, that it's less about learning all the answers and more about learning how to ask the questions. So when you're interacting with children, it's not that there's ever a book or research or some person who's going to tell you all the answers that are going to solve all the problems with the child. But what is going to be important is being able to find the question, to know the questions and find the answers to that one child you're working with. And it's so exciting. And so the last question, the question in the discussion last week had to do with the family bed or sleeping, co-sleeping. And I think most everybody agreed on one thing, that it was bad and that children who co-slept with their parents would end up as serial killers or some nonsense like that. But sorry, the deal is that if it really produces these horrible people, why is it that like 90% of the people in the world sleep with their children? Why is it that for thousands of years children slept in the same places as their parents and they weren't hung up psychologically or emotionally by seeing their parents' intimacy? But I think that says more about our society than it does about really child development. But here's the thing: it's not that there's right or wrong, because I don't think there is right or wrong, and I'm sure that for every child that one thing is good and the other side is better, or the other way around. Here's the deal, though: what we want to be able to do is go from what we think as far as, well, I think that would just make sense, or what Aunt Sally said, or what Grandma always did, and go to the next step, which is, what does research tell us? And remember, research told us put the baby on the back or put the baby on the face. The research doesn't always say the same thing forever. Okay, so that's what we want to do when we remember when we're answering those questions, is go from what do we think to what does research tell us? What is the literature? Okay, which is why I want you to do literature reviews as well as observations, and then as well as observations, put a little analysis in. I'm really looking forward to reading your second test and your analyses. I think that's the observations. I don't know if I'll get to them tomorrow or today or tomorrow like I usually do, but I'm thinking that by Saturday, the end of Saturday, we'll have everything graded. So fear not for that. Okay, so this next week, we're talking about cognitive development in not middle childhood, in early childhood, and we're going to talk about socio-emotional or psychosocial development. The real key point, I think, is the theory of mind. Okay, so we want to understand how is it that child understand things like beliefs and facts and knowledge and learning things. How is that child thinking about himself or herself as a thinker, as an interacting with the world around her? That's really, really important to understand. Okay. Next, let's go to the psychosocial. It is, I hear from time to time a lot of people say things like it's very important to get our children socialized, or the social understanding. And how do they do that? They send them out of the house and they want to play with other children or whatever. But remember the importance of these first couple of years, and that's just 1 through 2, 2 through 4, 2 through 5 are the times that we really are learning about basic morality. We're learning about right and wrong, and whether you believe in right or wrong, whether you believe it's just whatever culture you live in tells us those things, or whether you believe that there really is a right or wrong, the thing to remember that is that it's not just that it's wrong if you get caught and you get punished, but it's wrong because it's wrong. And so toward that end, the child is learning what that means, what makes something right or wrong. Remember, okay, a good book I read once said, you don't want the blind leading the blind. Okay, so sticking your child in with 18 other children isn't going to teach that child any more psychosocial development as it would be putting your child with somebody like yourself, if I can make that suggestion, or really anybody else, who's going to help that child to understand right and wrong. Okay, not threaten and beat, but to understand, like, why is it right, or why is it wrong, or how does it hurt, or whatever. And so that is psychosocial. That's built on cognitive learning, which is the ability that the mind is developed enough so that you can understand that I'm me, you're you, you're out there. And through this interaction of me understanding that I'm separate from you, then I can build this responsibility to make sure that what I do helps you and doesn't hurt you, and things like that. Okay, so I'm greatly looking forward to where we go with the discussions and the reading and the quizzes, and keep up the excellent work. I'm so proud of you. This has been the best summer of my life working with you, knowing you and getting to know you. You're awesome people, and I'm really, really looking forward to where we go from here. Okay, so just have a great week. Treat each other well, and bless you.